Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Save the Panel. This is Darren, and we are here with episode 2 of the NAMI alarm system install and testing. Today, we're going to look at the Wi-Fi sensing coverage that we have with just the base kit being installed. And we're going to map this out along a floor plan of my home and decide if we need to add any additional sense plugs, and if so, where do we need to add them to provide good coverage. These are the sense plugs, in case you haven't seen them close up. They are pretty awesome. So please join me for the next few minutes, and we will take a look at the coverage area and what we might need to do to expand it. I'll also tell you about my first week or so using the product alongside my current panel and how it's going so far. So please stick around. Before we get into it, a quick and important note: a big thank you to Surety for providing this system to us for review and evaluation free of charge. We really appreciate it. That said, just to be upfront, we're not being paid for this, and no one at NAMI, Surety, or Alarm.com controls what we say. The opinions here are our own. We are also learning as we go, so if we get something wrong, we'll correct it as a follow-up. Links to the product are in the description. If it turns out to be right for you, using those links helps support the channel. No pressure, but it helps us keep these reviews coming. All right, let's get into it. As I was preparing for this video, I tried to figure out how in the world do I express in this video the install and the testing, and I just decided the best way was to give you a floor plan and annotate what's going on in my home. This drawing is terrible. Pay no attention to the dimensions. It is all a little off, but it gives you the general idea of the layout of the first floor here, and a little bit of what's going on. This is not to scale. I certainly wouldn't use this for a home renovation project, but gives you again the general idea. So where did we install this? And remember, we just started with the base product, the Alarm 15 kit itself, and we started by installing the NAMI pod, the central heart of it right here in the foyer. There's actually a table here where it's easy to plug in. And the keypad I don't have in this diagram, but typically I have it sitting on a table right here because we walk in through this way quite often. But since I don't have it taped to anything or mounted, I actually have moved it anywhere in here for testing. Then the SensePlug I have here in the kitchen to create a little bit of a diagonal across this center entryway of the house, from the front door straight through to the back door, basically. I did install the door sensor right here on this door that goes between the house and the garage. And I put the point motion sensor here in my office, which I figured was an out-of-the-way place to test some pointed PIR sensing, since that's kind of a separate area. This NAMI system basically has, and you can see here in the app, that it senses a few things in order to trip the alarm. The first is this door sensor. So if the door sensor, which it assumes is the outside perimeter, that if that opens, it behaves like an exterior door has opened. So it will start your countdown if you are armed away or armed stay once it sees that door open, which does make some sense. When you are armed away, everything is active. So the door sensor is active, as is the Wi-Fi sensing across the floor, as is this pointed, PIR sensor here for the office. So if it's armed away and any of these things were to trip, then what happens is your countdown starts. And you can see here that the configuration is for 30-second delay on reentry before the alarm sounds. And on exit, when you arm it, you have 60 seconds to leave the premise before the alarm arms itself. So next up, let's talk about the Wi-Fi sensing. If we go in here to the app, you can see that there is a way to go in and manually start the Wi-Fi sensing test. And I'm playing it here. This is a recording, but you can see this little graph here as it goes up and down. What that means is when there's motion detected, the graph goes up, and when there's no motion detected, the graph goes down to 0. And I used that by having it constantly run while I went through the house. I walked through and I mapped was motion sensed and where was it not. So let's animate this, and you can see I have all the green check marks coming up first. These are all the areas where motion sensing, even with just the two sensors, worked well. So between this pod and this SensePlug, everywhere there's a green check, it would trip. And I did test this, arming this system away and walking in. And literally, I get into this front door here because I'm pretty close to the pod. I step in about 2 steps in, and yes, it recognizes me and goes off. It's really quite brilliant. But there were some dead spots, which I think is to be expected because we've got a large area here with only 2 devices. So where were all the dead spots? Now, some of these dead spots you would want, right? You don't want somebody moving in the garage while it's armed away and tripping the pod. That would be bad. Or walking around the outside of the home. That would also be bad. So those dead spots we want, but other areas we may not. So here in the office, it's a good thing I have the PIR sensor because there's no detection. The living room here, you can see along these extreme walls and in the corners, there was no detection area. Again, the extreme area of the dining room and the extreme area here of the family room all had no coverage, which I think is to be expected. So we need to figure out where to add 1 or 2 additional sense plugs and see how this changes. What I thought was most impressive is I was very worried about things or movement outside of the outer wall accidentally tripping this. And I really spent a lot of time right here outside the kitchen to try to understand exactly, was I getting any motion at all? And admittedly, right here in the corner outside the window here, there was a little bit of motion being sensed. It just went up a tad from 0. Very inconclusive if that would have tripped the alarm or not. We'll look into that some more. But all in all, I think this floor plan was to be expected. So now that we know where the dead spots are, where should we add another sense plug? And I think to start, my thought is to put one down here in the lower right quadrant somewhere of the family room and kind of make a V, if you will, between these a triangle, I guess is the best way to say it, between the sense plug, the pod, and the sense plug, and see if we can light up some more of these living areas over here and see how that reacts. So we're going to add this one sense plug to the system and see how it works and how the coverage map changes. Now, last time I tried to do a screen capture of my iPhone and that went terribly. So I thought I'd just show the process to add a sense plug here so you can see it. So we're going to go to Manage Devices. I'm sorry. We're going to go to Add a Device. Perfect. And we're going to choose nami. And we're going to say Next. We're going to say Next. And we're going to add a single device here on the bottom. And we're going to add a sense plug. And this is going to be added to the first floor zone that we have. And it is promoting our triangle here that we're trying to do, so that's great. We're going to say Next. And now we need to scan the QR code on the device. And we did. And now it wants us to connect it to a power outlet. So I'm going to step away from the camera, walk across the house, plug this in, and keep my iPhone near the device so it pairs properly. Hold on, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So that was set up successfully, and this is the screen you get asking to set up more rules and such. We're going to skip that and say done. So now when we go out, we should see, here we go. We have the SensePlug for the family room, which is great. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to rerun the test and put a new map up and show you what the coverage changed to after we added that new plug. Okay, so now that we've added the new SensePlug and I installed that SensePlug right here in the family room, lower right-hand corner there. So I've created a triangle, and after I added that, I did go into system test for a minute, and it prompted me uh, to calibrate it. It basically said there was not a connection between these two SES plugs, but I hit try again, and it connected, and everything seemed to be fine. So at that point, I rewalked the property, did a new site survey here, and these were the results. So the green checks show where we had coverage. In a lot of these areas we had the first time, but and then these were the remaining areas without coverage. So again, most of the outside perimeter, obviously we don't want coverage anyway, so that's good. The garage, we don't want coverage. There was this little nook, the extreme corner of the office and the side here of the living room that was excluded, and the extreme edge here of the dining room. But further in, there was coverage. So now I'm going to show the new areas that had coverage that didn't have it before. And you can see these green check marks just fill in. So by adding this one plug here, we really did cover a heck of a lot more of the living space, which was pretty great. I suppose what we could do, rather than adding more sense plugs, is maybe take another motion PIR sensor and aim it at these dining room windows in here to provide good coverage. There's really no windows or anything in this little nook here that would, in my mind, justify fixing that particular issue in the office living room border there. But one thing I did notice while doing the test is that we had a couple of areas, and I have orange check marks here, a couple of areas where they did show motion being detected in the test. However, I also performed a good old-fashioned let's try to set off the alarm test, which was, I armed the system in away mode and walked around the perimeter of the house and really did a tap dance here and paced back and forth near all of these orange check mark areas, and it did not set off the alarm. It was smart, somehow knew that that was just not valid motion. So right here in the family room, I opened this screen door and I walked in while the system was armed. And I got to about this area here by this green check mark when the system realized I was there and then demanded to be disarmed. I have to say, I'm very impressed. This product, at least for the base $129 system, I imagined would be targeted for an apartment or smaller condo. But here we are with the ground floor of a single family home that is taken care of with just the base package and one additional sense plug. It's very impressive. I've been using this for, about a week since the last video, and I've been arming and disarming it and doing some various tests. I did have one kind of odd thing happen. However, I did open a support with Surety, and they very quickly worked with the nami folks, I believe, and rectified the issue. And I did not have it again. Specifically, the issue was that I tried to trip the alarm by only using the Wi-Fi sensing, and the alarm actually did trip, but it did not sound locally here at the pod until after I tried to disarm it. That apparently has been fixed because I've done the same arm and manual tripping of the alarm multiple times now with no issues. So that's great for a brand new product. There's a problem and they fixed it instantly. So all in all, I think the testing has gone rather well so far, although we're only a week into it. So what are we going to do next? We've completed the coverage testing with just the base install, and we did add an additional sense plug. But what I want to do is investigate the away and stay configurations a little longer to really understand the proper way to secure the perimeter during stay mode. It seems that only the door sensor is creating your perimeter, so I may want to add a door sensor or two, or see if there's a way for the PIR sensor to become a part of a stay configuration. Definitely something I want to look into more. And of course, additional real use testing over time as we continue to work on this. In a later video, I'd like to add a camera to the system and then start to blend some automations in between. So things like in the alarm.com ecosystem, which is outside NAMI itself, with actions and status within NAMI. Maybe things like cameras recognizing people or animals blended with other sensor or status data via automations to cause some custom actions like light automations, notifications, and the like. So with that, I think we will end here. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please hit that like button and share it with others so you don't keep us a secret. If you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, be sure to hit subscribe. If you have any questions or want to see something in particular about NAMI or anything else in a future video, or just want to share some love, drop a comment below. I read and respond to everyone personally. Thank you again, and until next time, I'll see you online.